So Ron DeSantis has a video that a lot of people have been talking about. Now he is the governor of Florida. I looked into his background, and at first I thought he was had a Cuban background, but he actually don't. His parents, his great grandparents, and all of them actually left Italy and immigrated to the United States in actually 1904. So I mean, he was born here in the United States in Florida, but that's where his people come from. So he has Italian descent. He looked like he probably got that Southern Italy somewhere in him. Probably he don't discuss that. Ron DeSantis, he's been Harvard trained. He's been to Yale and all of that. So even though he kind of acts like an idiot, he's not really, an idiot. Of course, he was he represented Florida in the House of Representatives for some years before becoming the governor of Florida. But just a little background on him. So media is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Media, shapes the trajectory and mindset of people. And this is why the white supremacists spend so much money on that every month, and why they want to dominate and have to dominate media. When we talk about our image as black people, our image has been shaped by white-owned media throughout the world. When you have this image of black people just being gangsters, where do you think that comes from? That doesn't come from coming in American society and actually engaging black people. That comes from images controlled by white-owned media. You understand? So media is important. I mean, we have literally been slandered all over the world to being some freaking gangsters, when the white supremacist is more gangster than anybody. No black person dropped no atomic bombs. Black folks didn't start no criminal gangs. You look at the original criminals of the gangs was them. It wasn't us. You understand? So anything that they try to project on us, right? So that's why media is very, very important, and you have to participate and protect your community through media, and don't be afraid to do so, no matter who has something to say about it. Speaking of media, I thought it was quite funny. A lot of people was getting on Nina Turner as of recently. I thought it was very funny. They was talking about her in media, and they were saying, "Hey, Nina, you be talking about all this, black this and all that, but then you never go talk to black platforms. You went up there and joined the Young Turks. You didn't even go talk to nobody, black. She didn't even go over there with Roland. I mean, I know she wouldn't come over here with me, but she didn't even go over there with Roland. I thought that was interesting too, But that's our black representation. That's why we stay losing in America, because black folks don't want to fight for black people whatsoever. Now, Ron DeSantis here. He's talking about, ever since Tucker Carlson started doing this thing, talking about woke this and woke, right? And they're saying, oh, yeah, everybody's so woke and everybody. So, according to the definition, they even saying that woke means an alert to racial prejudice and discrimination and also injustice. They talk about that as well in society. They said it came and originated from, just reading here, African American Vernacular English. Yeah, AAVE is a real terminology, is a real thing. Look it up on YouTube, like AAVE. I seen those videos where literally these white folks and broke down how we speak and how their, I guess, the King's English or the Queen's English is versus how we speak. I mean, oh yeah, white people study us, boy. I mean, they study everybody, but they really study us. I mean, it's amazing how they sit up there and study how we speak, how we dress, try to study how we think, how we date, marry. I mean, they got to know everything. You understand what I'm saying? And really, that's actually something we should be doing. We should be doing this as black people. We should be analytical and keeping research on them too. I mean, I keep my own personal research and what I see, that's why I study their tattoos. I study what they say. I look at how they group. I look at how they move. I look at what bothers them. I do it, but it's not done really on a mass scale about being analytical and watching them. So they've been on this woke word. And I remember Tucker Carlson started doing that, right? So then all the politicians start repeating this and woke that. So basically, they have a problem with people being alerted to injustice. And what comes with that? When you speak about reparations, that is woke to them. When you speak about extrajudicial killings of police, not even having a trial by jury, that is woke to them. Advocating for these race soldiers to go to jail, that's woke to them. When you speak about your homes being appraised lower than what is actually worth because you're black, that's woke to them. When you talk about being discriminated on jobs, that's woke to them. When you talk about not getting home loans and business loans, not because you didn't have the proper credit score, not because you didn't have a good payment history, we know completely it's discriminatory, that's woke to them. In other words, anything you speak up about that's wrong against black people, that's woke to them, okay? So for me, since we know that they know the term woke come from black people originally, basically woke means black and anything attached to what we talk about, okay? So let's just make that perfectly clear. Just like when they was using the word thug a lot. You remember that? And we shut that down. We completely shut that down because the way they was using the word thug, right? It's like they would have a dude that didn't commit a single crime and they would still call him, he's nothing but a thug. And we knew at that point, the way he was saying it and the venom, the way they would say it, we knew it meant, oh, okay. So thug means the N word. And when we start pointing that out, that thug with them means the N word, then you notice they don't say thug no more. Have you noticed that? They don't say a word about thug. I ain't heard it in mass media or nothing because we called them out. Now it's time to start calling them out about this woke word here they're using all over the place because they're not, going to be brave enough to say black people. They're not going to be, because you have to think about this. Me and my wife was having a conversation last night actually about immigrants. And do you realize that black people in America is the only group of people has consistently stood up against injustice, that stood up against white supremacy? Because immigrants that come in here, immigrants that just got here yesterday, they need the status quo to stay the way it is because all they care about is getting a job and sending money back to their family. That's all they care about. So when you see immigrants being hostile toward us, a lot of it from what, we were just having some conversations about it and just thinking about it in general. A lot of it is they need white supremacy to stay exactly the way it is, which is harmful to us, right? So they can keep getting their money and keep getting their jobs. They depend on white supremacy. So anybody that comes in here depending on white supremacy, well, they're going to join with white supremacy because they're going to say, hey, the white supremacists gave me a job. The white supremacists don't bother me like they bother the black folk. They the problem. You know what I'm saying? So this is why black folks are finally starting to wake up to, wait a minute, hold on. Why are these immigrant people coming in here so hostile toward us? We didn't do nothing to them. Well, the fact is they feel like we stand in the way of their situation. And they need the system to stay exactly how it is. But we know the way the system and how it is going to be oppressive to us. Matter of fact, we look at home ownership rates. Every other group is past us now. Even Hispanics has passed us now in home ownership rates. Now, some of that has also contributed to other groups have a higher marriage rate and they value marriage more and they haven't had the damages done in their particular relationship and haven't had, they don't have music that promotes horrible things to their communities and all of that. It's a lot of things we can look at with home ownership rates in the area of family and marriage, etc. That's not, I'm not going to go down the situation with relationships and all that today, but it do affect it because having two incomes in a home is better than having one income, and you can definitely get more home, or more house. Let's say that much. But when DeSantis here talks about fight the woke, so we just like I said on Twitter, just say fight the blacks. I would respect it a lot more, but let's go here and listen to an Italian immigrant because we got to start calling these people out because just like everybody wanted to call out the Africans too, and the ones that's raccooning, and that's fine. I have no issue with that. I'll call them out. I mean, you can go listen to my other podcasts, right? Well, he's an immigrant. His people are immigrants too. All these white folks you see running around, let's start looking at them too. Where your people from? And they know where they people from too. They know, because they're not indigenous to this place. Well, let's go ahead on and break down DeSantis here.
We can't just stand idly by while woke ideology ravages every institution in our society.
Okay, so remember what woke is, right? What they say what woke is in the dictionary. So we cannot stand by as we watch woke ideology getting every government institution. So we can't stand by and watch every government institution, talk about injustice toward black people. We can't hear about racism. We can't hear about police brutality, none of that, right? Okay. So let's focus just on injustice. Let's keep that word.
We must fight the woke in our schools.
We must fight the woke or fight the blacks in our schools. Okay.
We must fight the woke in our businesses.
We must fight the woke in our businesses. How are you fighting the woke in your businesses? Oh, because they're making you have, racial diversity training and telling them you can't just call black folks the N-word, call black folks monkey and everything else on the job. So you need to fight that. Okay.
We must fight the woke in government agencies.
Okay, so you must fight the woke in government agencies. Okay, so government agencies continue to discriminate against black people? I mean, they still do. I mean, should they just treat us horribly? I mean, and that's what you want to fight against? Like I said, all this woke thing is fighting black people. That's it. This is another war on drugs mantra. Fight the woke, right? You remember war on drugs was war on black people. And we seen that, and later they admitted it, that the war on drugs was code word for a war on black people.
We can never, ever surrender to woke ideology.
An Italian immigrant, his family immigrated from Italy. I know he was born here, but still, he's an Italian immigrant. Coming over here and saying that we cannot submit to woke ideology. Well, I mean, when was the last time he'd been to Italy? I'm just curious. And why he isn't over there helping them? I'm just curious. I mean, that's where his people from. I mean, well, why don't he go over there and do that? But you see how they clapping. You see they excited about that, okay?
And I'll tell you this, the state of Florida is where woke goes to die.
Okay, so he said the state of Florida is where woke goes to die. All right. So are you saying that the state of Florida is where black people go to die, sir? Are you saying that the state of Florida is the place where injustice and speaking up against injustice goes to die? Is that what you're saying, sir? Is the fight against racism, that's where it goes to die? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what you're actually saying, Governor DeSantis, because it sounds like that's what you're saying. But you know what? Being quote unquote woke is what would allow you to be a governor today. Let's talk about history in America. When the Italians first came over here, white folks here did not like them at all. They had signs out there saying no Italians. They didn't want no Italians. They didn't want no Irish. They didn't want no Polish. They didn't want no other white group but them. They looked down on them. And they did discriminate against the Italians. The Italians, if you do the research, during the time of the civil rights movement, was linking up with King and all of that, talking about injustice and civil rights. So your ancestors in this country that were discriminated against were quote unquote woke too at one point in time. And then after the civil rights movement, when all these white groups got their white card, okay, because after the civil rights movement, the main white folks say, okay, we need to go it on and bring all these other white people into whiteness. And then that way we'll have them to use them in society against, black folk. So he wouldn't even be governor right now if it wouldn't been for the civil rights movement. You understand? All these other groups outside of black, maybe some of them didn't get a white card, but they also was treated a lot better. You look at even the Jewish community. The Jewish community was discriminated against heavily. The Klan would always target the Jewish community, right? But yet they was given an honorary white card too, off of the backs of black people. And then these other groups turn around and just come out and attacking us. But remember what I said in the beginning, immigrant groups depend on the status quo to stay the way it is. Because without the status quo, they can't benefit. See, black people talking about, no, the system got to change. The system need to be equal. The system needs to be, be righteous and all of that, right? Well, these other groups are threatened by that. So let me join the white supremacists. See, the white supremacists, he already got his team. And Dr. Claude Anderson told us a long time ago, we're outnumbered. He told us that. We are heavily outnumbered. Now, I will say, just because people outnumber you doesn't mean they all got the heart either, because the majority of these people ain't got no heart. They really don't. Now, listen, Dr. John Henry Clark said, black people are the greatest fighting force in the world. And he said, the moment black people realize it, our oppression globally is over. And it's the truth. When we actually take a stand, it shocks the world. It sends a shockwave through the world. You can go back to the George Floyd protests, right? That was all over America. It not only happened in America, but people all over the world in countries that have no black folks, even white people, was out there protesting, talking about George Floyd. Where do you think that came from? You had Nigerians talking about, we got inspired through Black America to do the NSARS protest. That's why we stood up against them. They never stand up against anything, but they saw us do it and they say, you know what? Hell yeah, we gonna do it. You see the brothers and sisters in South Africa, they say, you know what? We had seen what y'all was doing. And we would say, you know what? Let's go ahead on and keep fighting this apartheid even more. That's why we were linking up with them and putting pressure on our government to get rid of that apartheid government in South Africa. Every time we stand up, when we stand up, everybody started getting scared. Corporations start getting scared when we stand up because we tired, we sick and tired. And really, like I said, if you look at even how these things jump off, it didn't even have to never happen like that. None of these immigrant groups I have not seen. Show me an immigrant group that come into this country. We're talking about outside of black that's in this country that have stood up to the white supremacists consistently. None of them won't stand up to them, not even 2 seconds. They'll go their behind right home. And that's another reason why other people don't like us. And so they always got to keep us suppressed. They always got to keep us down because this is the thing. Yeah, we got our differences, but one thing they know, one event could make us all say, okay, we ain't thinking about no differences today. We linking up. And they know this. Do you remember in Baltimore when the Bloods and Crips say, hey, you know what? We ain't fighting each other no more. Not now. They say we got to link up because this is going on. See, that scares them about us, that we can actually unify with an event, even though we got problems with each other. That scares them. These other groups don't link up like we link up like that. The only reason we in the position that we in as black people is because of the raccoon class in our community. You know, people like, yes, the Congressional Black Caucus is the raccoon class because they don't fight for black people. Our black politicians, they don't fight for black people like that. They fight for everybody else but black people. Because in order to really be a politician in America, you cannot fight for black people. Like Dr. Claude Anderson told you that too. Our issue and our biggest issue still is we want to be on the plantation as well. We really don't want to build our own. We really don't want to build our own schools, our own grocery stores, our own hospitals, our own clinics, our own, everything, plumbing, businesses, electrician businesses, and do like the Asian community do, which, like I said, I have no issue with the Asian community and how they do it. I think it's good. We're not insulated like they are. Our own banks, our own everything in our own area, in which we can do that, but we don't want to do it. We don't want to come together like that, not in mass. It literally is going to have to take, and I know it's going to have to take. It's literally going to have to take black folks literally being, targeted in a way they've never been seen before for them to get that way. Because it's sad that we never get together unless it's a blood sacrifice. Have you noticed that? We never unify unless it's a blood sacrifice. Let me talk about blood sacrifice. You look at what happened with George Floyd. Let's go recent. Look at it. Had to take a man dying, well, I'd say blood sacrifice, for black people to get together. Think about that. Every time it's a major move from black people, it's always a blood sacrifice or close to it. Look at Rodney King in L.A. Black folks was pissed off. Black folks had enough. Why I got to take either a person half dying or dying for us to get together? We can't get together and do anything unless some harm happened to black people. See, if them folks just don't harm you, I told you before, they could stay in power for another 1,000 years because a lot of black folks in America is comfortable. They're very, very comfortable. They're really comfortable under this system. They don't want to hear nothing else. They'll do all this talking online about what they want to do and everything, what we need to do and what's the solution and what's to this, what's to that. And yet you've been given thousands of solutions. Long time ago, you was given solutions by many, many great people. And you still not following it. That's our biggest problem in America, really. It's not, I can't even say, as I'm paying attention to things, yeah, racism is a thing. But to be honest with you, if we would actually consistently be together and consistently stay, and yes, I know we're making some strides. I know, but let's call it what it is. We're making some strides online. That's great. And they do have some influence. But the rank and file majority of black people, unfortunately, they're not. Like, for instance, yeah, plenty of you that listen right now, you understand a lot. You make moves. You're more politically, sound. But once I get off this microphone and I go into the city of Houston and we look at the rank and file black person there, and I'm talking to people who deal with them all the time, they're going to tell you, they're not there. Not whatsoever. They still on the Democrat thing. They still hoping these people treat them better. It's a lot. It's a lot. But this particular, fight black folks, fight woke thing, they depend on you to go along with injustice. They depend on that. They can't have you out here talking about their system is, not a good way of governance. They can't have that because white supremacy was built on evil. White supremacy was built on lies. White supremacy was built on oppression. So if you take that away from them, what system would they really have at that point? You understand? But this is the truth here, what I'm about to say. Their time is up. And that didn't come from me. I can tell you that's thus saith the Lord. Their time is up. Their world is unraveling every day. Their global influence is unraveling every day. They're scrambling right now in Africa, trying to keep their teeth in that when they're having other people come in like China, Russia, different ones that's undermining them every day in, the African continent. They're sitting up here trying to put in a law about African countries. And I need to do a podcast on that. Well, probably a podcast or news report, because that's very, very important to go into length about how they openly said they want to manipulate African governments. They're openly saying this. And your Democrats, who a lot of black people voted for, is cool with it. Now, you may say, I don't care about Africa. I don't care about this and that and the third. Well, you may not care, but I always say this. If you don't have Africa to go to, if you wanted to, you have nothing. Everybody else got a place to go. And let's call it what it is. There's a plan right now, as you can see, to flood the zone with everybody from Latin America and to get you out the cities, to put you out. OK. And it's getting worse. And these people that's coming in, a lot of them coming in with anti-black racism, because that comes directly from their countries. If you dark skinned Hispanic, they don't like you either. If you're black, they definitely don't like you in a lot of these places. So they definitely coming in to put you out. And the deal is, the only way they can put you out is because we didn't take things seriously. We were willing to rent a place for 30 years and not buy. We didn't get together as a community. So this is how we easily get displaced. You understand? With unification, people can't do nothing to you. That's why we always stay vulnerable, because we're not unified. These other groups come in, if you pay attention to it, they coming in with whole families, husband, wife, kids. Have you noticed that? Big families coming in. Family units is see, black people and how we fought back really in the civil rights movement is because of family units. Family. Now we don't have that today. We don't have that family unit. And that's how also we stay vulnerable. But understand these people that's talking about fight the woke and all of that, right? It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. Because once people are awakened to something, you can't put them back to sleep. And that's really what they want. They want everybody to go back to sleep. That's really what it is. They want you not to see things for what it is. They hate that you research now. They hate that you look into people's backgrounds. They hate, that you hold people accountable. They hate that you got a record now of things that they say, things that they do. You could drop receipts now. These things you didn't have 20 years ago that you have in 2022 in the manner that we have it now. Politicians be getting out the paint. See, years ago, I couldn't have found out about DeSantis, information that quick. Like in 5 minutes, I could find out I can't even say 5 minutes. I'll say maybe in 60 seconds. I found out his information about his grandparents, about where they come from, when they came here. At one point in time, black people didn't know anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So we are in the information age, and the white supremacists must understand in the information age, which was predicted, in scriptures a long time ago, it's not going to stop. It's going to, and they say in the last days, knowledge will increase. That's what the scriptures teach. They also talk about plagues happening. And you go from COVID, now you're going to monkeypox, and greater things is going to happen too. And it's not going to stop. I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but they have so many different viruses that's popping up now. It's like, everybody like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, just keep in the fight, much as possible. Nobody going to sleep over here. That's for sure. So, and you know what? There's a lot of thorough brothers and sisters in Florida. And no, quote unquote, woke ain't dying nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It's just getting started. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the podcast. Greatly appreciate it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. And that way you know exactly when we post another podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.